Hello, hello.
Hello.
Yo, dude, how you doing?
Yeah, fine, fine. I'm a bit frustrated because I just got like some games in the ladder, and I was desperately trying to find like a ZvP matchup,
Yeah.
and and this guy was random and asked him like race, and he didn't want to tell me, and then he went for an all-in, and he killed me, and he started to insult me like, "Yo, now you can leave, fucking noob and shit."
Fuck that guy. Yeah, some people suck.
And then once the game was over, he keep going. It was like, yeah, you suck and shit. And I was like, dude, I desperately needed like a game versus Protoss for coaching. It was like, yeah, you suck. For just use YouTube, idiot.
Damn, what an angry guy for no reason.
Yeah, no reason,
He
dude.
just likes to be negative. Um,
Yeah.
so do you have a replay a replay then or no?
Yeah, let's use it. I mean, it's
Oh, you
a
want to use that
since
one?
so yeah, because I mean, the thing is this. I've been trying to improve in the macro lately,
Sure.
especially on the last all the suggestions that we had, and um especially regarding like not letting larva idle and so on,
That's good.
and
Yeah.
so and I've noticed that I've been very schematic to use the build, and I've been losing a lot against all-ins, especially like two bases all-ins and so on.
Okay.
So, my idea, if you're okay with it, today we can go through some other fundamentals regarding like a little bit of scouting, map awareness, and maybe a little bit of mechanics on creep spread
Yeah,
if we have time.
that sounds good. I would say that's a little bit more
And let,
advanced, but I mean it applies to everybody. And it today, if we're gonna do it like that, today it'll just be more like theory about how to break down what your opponent does and stuff like that, like logically
Mhm.
putting things together.
Yeah. Unless you have other suggestion, you feel like we need to go through other fundamentals first.
Uh, how does it feel? Like if you had to like rate it for yourself, how does it feel in terms of what we went over last week? Do you feel like it's actually having major impacts on how your gameplay already is thus far?
I've been improving a lot. So I went from Platinum 3 to Plat 2, and I've been like idling less larvas. And for example, a couple of games ago, I realized that I reached max at 9:30 maybe, or 9:15 instead of 10, or.
Sure.
So I've been like speeding up the build a little bit.
Nice.
So the suggestions were definitely very useful for me.
Oh, okay. Well, how about this? How about this? If I see your macro is slipping in certain parts, I'll just do a quick reminder of it. Be like, okay, so this is important. I'll touch on macro parts if I see there's mistakes. Otherwise, we'll focus a
Yeah,
lot more on the scouting aspects and what you're seeing and what you should be looking for and how you should be doing that and
absolutely.
stuff like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. I agree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then maybe if another suggestion I ask you is like I've been realizing that now I'm plat two, and eventually I will start to I would like to start to try other builds as well.
Yeah.
And maybe like your gasless build. So last time you showed me like a benchmark build of the Bronze 2 GM.
Yep.
Maybe if you don't mind, if you're okay with it, we can leave the last 10 minutes, and if you show me like a prototype of a gasless build.
Sure. The I could. Do you want it to be specifically for Protoss? Because I have two of them. They are a little different, and one of them I use against Terran, one of them I use against Protoss.
We can stick to Protoss for the moment, and then in future we'll see.
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, that
Okay.
perfect, dude. Let's do it. All right, just I guess
So
host up your BM replay, and we'll dive into it. We'll talk about everything you
yes,
want to talk
so
about.
yes, so it basically went for a one base all-in, I think. But I will show you in the replay. So now I need to actually should I should watch with others, right?
There you go.
And
Yeah,
then
perfect. And then make me the host of the lobby when we're in here.
yes, yes. Uh, all right.
Perfect. And okay, we're off.
Yeah, let's go. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, man.
And hello everybody, by the way, from the VFam.
What's up, chat? How you doing?
I hope this is useful for you guys as well.
Oh, people loved it last time. I haven't really done too many fundamental lessons. It's mostly been like Diamond Plus with like strategy choices and unit comps and stuff like that. And obviously there is some macro stuff, but we definitely broke down the raw basics last time in like a really helpful way, and a lot of people really did like it.
Let's see.
All right. Okay, so I'm watching your perspective, and I will look at your Overlord movement all the time. But right now I'm also just looking at your drones. So far, your drones seem fine. I really like that you have. Actually, I'll tell you one thing. Okay, just really fast. I told you. Sorry, I told you this last time, but when you're in the beginning of the
Splitting.
yeah, exactly. Just try to have 2 drones per close patch. It does make a big difference. And what right now you had
sometimes
one.
sometimes I try to do it and sometimes I forgot. Like
Sure.
it's a bit.
It's
Maybe
it's new.
because
It's fine.
the drone splitting, like in the beginning, I don't know. Really, I don't have the speed either to really to do it. In some games, I just adjust it a bit later. This game, I didn't do it.
Sure. It's okay.
But yeah, it's definitely something I can improve still.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
What's up?
No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, and I see the chat by the way, where he's like, I'm random, but
Yeah.
I like your Overlord positioning so far. I like that your first Overlord is going right to his natural. It's perfect. The line it's taking is perfect, and the reason why this is important is because you want to see the center of the map right where your Overlord is right now. And the reason why this is really important is because you don't want to scout like towards like the top of his natural to where you don't see this line. And you don't want to scout too far south to his main right away to where you once again don't see this line. It's important because if you see a second probe, okay? If you see a first probe coming by your first Overlord, if you see a probe going by your first Overlord that's in the middle of the map, and then you also at the same time see another probe kind of running around your natural right now with your second Overlord, seeing the fact that there are 2 probes on the map already guarantees you're being proxied. There is no reason to scout with 2 probes. So things like that are important. So I love the path you're taking, and I also love that you stopped your second Overlord at the choke point of your natural, because there's no way a probe can sneak into your base now. It's very important. And also you have it kind of in the front a little bit, so you can also see if he starts, like if there's like a proxy starting just outside your base, like if you were to put it like right at the top of the ramp, in front of your natural, like that's also important to know. Like he's gonna do like an extended cannon rush towards your base. But if a probe did run into your natural, I would highly recommend following it with your natural Overlord. Don't let him like run behind your mineral line and then not chase him or something like that. Like you want to make sure he's not going to throw pylons down somewhere without you knowing about it.
So at the moment that you see like a probe entering, you start following.
Thank you for the sub, Lamina. The what? Sorry.
The moment that you see the probe coming at your natural, you click your Overlord, your second Overlord, and you follow the probe.
You don't have to follow the probe exactly, but you, like in terms of clicking on it, but just move to the area that it is. Like keep tabs on it for sure.
Yeah. Just to have vision in the like above, behind the mineral.
Exactly. You just don't want him to be out of vision in your base when you're not prepared for it for very long, because if it was going to be a cannon rush, you can make choices then. Like for instance, not letting your natural finish and be like, oh, now it's going to die. Or you can pull drones if you want to and stuff like that. Okay, we're going to see what you do with the first Overlord as well. Okay. Right now, the second you see there's no natural, this is pretty huge. I would say I would recommend this is probably the best thing I can tell you. Regardless of if someone does or does not have a natural, tell your second Overlord, the one that has been sitting at your natural, tell it to go down to the opposite side of your opponent's main base of your first Overlord, because you don't have to worry about the proxies anymore. And this is going to be this will be a backup scout. So this would basically go to like the 6:30, 7 o'clock position on the map. You know what I mean? Like between his.
Yeah, I got it.
Perfect.
I got it.
And then your first Overlord. It's okay if your first Overlord does die, in terms of like, trying to get a read on his ramp or something like that. Because you definitely should try to get a read on his ramp all the time. You want to know how he opened at all times, especially Protoss. Really any race, but yeah, like it makes a big difference because Protoss does reveal their tech pretty fast as to what they're going to go for. And then if you don't see tech, or if you don't see a second pylon, that is a big indicator as well to do something like, let's just say, make a Zergling, and then have like both lings run opposite sides of the map on the border and look for proxies. Things like that. Because Protoss has to always make 2 pylons. It is guaranteed. Like, they will always have 2 pylons done by the time your Overlord gets here. Otherwise,
yeah, that's something that I've been trying to do as well. When I scout, is I try to see where the second pylon is.
exactly. I'm like, I don't mind that you just lost your Overlord there. It's okay, because what you just did is you just
I saw the second pylon.
Yep, exactly. You just confirmed you're not being proxied so far. You just confirmed he's 2-gate opening you, and you also just confirmed he made a Zealot and a Stalker, and he doesn't have a natural. The perfect response to this, honestly, I would say, is not making a layer. I would say the perfect response to this would be mining enough gas for Zergling speed. You could even then maybe rip off 2 drones, not all 3, but rip off like 2 drones off that gas, put them on minerals at your natural, and you could fully saturate 2 mineral lines with only 1 drone mining gas. And you're going to get a lot of money doing this. You could then make more queens with this money to extend creep spread faster. And creep is amazing in this kind of situation. And then you could also take a 3rd base. And what you would do then, if you have link speed, is you would periodically poke around his base. If he straight up, if he attacks you, well, then you're defending. But if he doesn't attack you, it would just be poking around his base. And then you could even at some point send in, like if you did it earlier, you could send in like your second Overlord that we talked about as a backup scout to just kind of be like, what are you doing tech-wise since you're not expanding? And I would say if your opponent has not expanded and does not want to attack you, it would not be a bad idea to start a Roach Warren around maybe like 3 minutes 20 seconds or maybe 3 minutes 30 seconds. At that exact same time, you would put 2 more drones on gas, and also around like just a little bit after that, maybe 3:45, make a Spore Crawler in each base. And all of you, what would happen then is you would have Speedlings constantly giving you information. You would have an Overlord, a backup Overlord, also trying to give you information. You would see, like, he would have to kill your Overlord with something, which is going to give you information. Like, does he have 1 Stalker still? Does he have 4? Does he have 6? Does he have, does he have a Dark Shrine sitting right there? And then the fact that you would make Roaches and also Spore Crawlers, you would be protected from every single type of all-in he could do. If it was 2 gates and a Stargate, 2 gates and a Robo, 4 gates with Dark Shrine, mass charge lots, does not matter what it is. You would be fine if you went Speedling Roach at this point with a detector at every base. If you had 2 base economy with 3 base production. I know I talked a lot there, but do you have any questions on what I just talked about?
No, I mean, the timings is, of course, for me, it's something obscure.
Yeah.
I trust you. I will try to implement it, but it's something that I am not able to understand yet.
I would just tell you this. If you see this will make it really easy. If you see your opponent stay on 1 base forever, okay? So I don't know what he's done yet, right? I haven't seen this whole replay, and I don't want you to tell me what he's done. We'll discover it together, essentially.
Yes.
But I would assume if this guy does not attack you, but like if he has not even attempted to attack you by around 3:30, and he's 1-basing you, you should really now start thinking DTs, and around like just after that, maybe 3:45, you start a Spore, because DTs will hit you just around 4 minutes to like 4:15. It will guaranteed happen if he's rushing DTs.
I see. Yeah.
And that's the only thing that could kill you if you go Speedling Roach with 1 base better than his economy. Everything else, it doesn't matter what it is. A Sentry, like any type of gateway combination, or Robo or Stargate combined with the 2 gates he already has, you will crush all of that with Speedling Roach and a couple Queens. Because you just have so much more than he does. But yeah, doing the layer first, what that does is what that's doing is it's putting you into a vulnerable state right now, where you're preparing for a late game and he's about to all in you. And I know you're doing the Bronze Stygian build though, which I don't want to get on your ass too hard about that, because I know that's what you're doing. But
Yeah, so this is my problem. I just told you before. I'm trying to get good at this build, right?
yeah,
So I'm very schematic still, because I need to drill it. I need really to drill it all the time,
sure,
like to get better and like get confident about it. And
sure.
so I realized I lost many games because I'm in this path, like in this scheme, and I'm like, yeah, go for it, like A, B, C, D, and I follow without
Well,
like realizing what my opponent is doing too much.
I
You
can,
see my point?
yeah, I can tell you. There's if you want to if you're gonna keep doing this build again, it also works. Okay, it's not that it doesn't work, but I could tell you one way to alter this if your opponent one bases you that would guarantee you have a very high chance of winning. Like it would increase your chances by a lot. There's only two things I would change about what you did if you're gonna do the B to GM build, which is I would say right around the time you are at like maybe like 10 drones on your natural. This is again, try to spend your larva just like we always talked about before. Build a spine crawler at your natural as well, just one. And you're going to put it behind your wall. So it's going to be kind of where your queen is right now that's sitting next to your Evo chamber.
Yeah, in the corner between the two buildings.
Yeah. And then even though you're not getting speedlings, I still want you to make a slowling the second your overlord dies. That you cut one drone out of your build when your overlord is literally dead. You're like, oh, well, it's going to die. Let's make one ling. Because you want to, if he has not, and this is only if he does not expand. If he does not expand, you want to have something that's going to quickly get over there and be like, are you going to take it? Are you going to expand? You're not going to just sack the ling, but you will run it at his natural and then just kind of poke in and see, did you make a nexus yet? Nope. Okay, I'll back my ling up again. Run back in again, 20 seconds later. Did you take a natural yet? Nope. Okay, I'll back up again. Like you want to know if he took a natural. It's a big deal. Because if he does not take a natural, you then want to see, you want to position maybe like your lings, the two lings you have, you would want to then position them maybe in like the exits of his base. One would be down the ramp near his natural, and one would be above the like the choke point near his third. So you could see if he moves out, and if you do see, oh shit, he's moving out, that's when you start making roaches. Like if you're not fully saturated is what I mean, because you know he's coming to all in you right now. Because some people will kill you if you just go, you know what, I'm going to fully saturate two bases if this guy is actually just going for like a 4-gate or something like that. Like there's a chance you could die. That spine color helps definitely reduce it. But having just one ling to scout is huge. What about hidden bases? Yeah, no, that's what the ling should do as well. Like I said before, the lings could actually skirt the side of the map. You could have a ling literally shift. You could grab one ling, shift A move every single base on the top side and the left side, and then sit it in that choke point. That's on the the choke point near his third, and you could have a second ling, shift A move the entire right side to bottom side, and then shift A move towards the bottom of the ramp at the low ground expansion for where the Protoss would be. And then you could just periodically poke in to see the natural. So you could see every base to see if there's a proxy base or not, and then also at the same time you could see if he's even taking a natural. And it's just one ling. And you only would do this if your opponent does one of two things. Stays on one base. By the time your overlord gets there, you're like, okay, he's one basing me. This is weird. Or he doesn't have a second pylon in his base at all, and you're like, where's your proxy? Also, another thing too, if your opponent one bases as well and you do the bronze GM build, 100% make an overseer defense. Like I know you made one aggressively to scout him, but make another one defensively. So make two of them. Have an overseer at your base, because if he did DT you right now, you would take some serious damage.
Yeah, I would basically would kill all my drones.
Yeah. So always have a second overseer. For there. Do you have any questions so far? Anything you're curious about?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Our base is under
So here he is. He's hitting you with immortals and sentries.
Yeah, and then get supply block like crazy because he killed two overloads in just a few seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where if you had a Zergling there, you would have saw it a while before it hit you. And look, like you can see this guy doesn't have a natural. So if you would have, like we'll actually back this up now. I'm going to go to everyone's vision. And we're going to go back about a full minute. Imagine If you had a Zergling poking around his natural right now, and you're like, oh, he still doesn't have a base, and then you see him moving out, right now he would pass your Ling, and you would see,
Yeah.
you would have seen his comp as well. You would see, oh, he's killing my Ling with Immortal Sentry. And I'm going to quiz you really fast, and I'll give you the answer if you get it wrong. But what would you say is a good idea to defend, like composition for you? What would you say is good to make against this? For what would you be comfortable with?
So I see what I see right now is like 2 sentries, 3 stalkers, and 2 immortals. So 2 immortals are really bad for my roaches, because they two-shot the roach, right?
Ship. Mm-hmm.
I would do more links with speed, but I didn't have speed. So,
Exactly.
So I would just do some links more and a couple of roaches, and I'll try to hold it. But yeah, I'm not sure.
I would say with your current build, Lings are not the right answer because you don't have speed, and speedless Lings are fucking terrible. If you did open with Speedling, I would say that's the right call. But with your Bronze Gym style build, I think the correct call for you right now, especially since you have a decent amount of gas, would be make, like I would say immediately start your 4th gas because you want more gas, even more than you already have. And I would say you want to make Roach Ravager. The reason why is because Ravagers are going to have more range than Roaches. Ravagers don't have
And they're not.
they do not have an armored tag against
Yeah.
Immortals. And you also, if this guy does not micro out of Corrosive Bile, it will fucking destroy his units. You have really no choice. You have to, with this build, you have to commit to Roaches. And then like if you would have started making Roaches right now, you could probably get something out like you could even like cancel your upgrade too, like both upgrades even, because you're getting all in, and these upgrades are saying in 2 minutes I'm gonna have upgrades. So what you could do is you could cancel both upgrades. By the way, you get 100% refunds if you cancel upgrades on buildings like this. So you just don't get you don't get full refunds if you cancel a building that is currently actually building under construction and you like delete it and the drone pops back out. That's not a full refund. But upgrades in a finished building are full refunds. So you could get back 200 minerals and 200 gas right now out of both these upgrades. You could make mass roaches. And then on top of that, you could then, once those roaches are done, you could make as many of them into Ravagers as you could. And you could even also grab all your queens, like inject one more time. Grab all your queens and put them in the front as well, because once again, queens are not armored. So they tank immortals like fucking champions. And then you could make, with your next 300 minerals, you could just make 2 new queens out of your bases. So you could continuously inject after. And then if he shows up and you have 3 queens, like 7 roaches and 5 ravagers, you would shit on his army. And you would know this about a full minute before he gets to your base, because a Ling would have told you that. And a Ling would have also told you he didn't expand. So you know this is all in.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, see, this is all things that I need to learn how to face, because I've been concentrated just macro, and being greedy.
Yeah.
And this set of reactions are completely new for me.
Yeah, 100%. No, I get it. And I would say the biggest one of all, it's something you probably wouldn't think about, is don't be afraid to change your plan. And like this is the most important thing about this whole thing is you can totally cancel your upgrades, postpone a 3rd base, and instead take a 4th gas. So if this drone was actually just going to build a 4th gas instead, and you saturated it, that would be so much better, because you know this guy's 1 base all-inning you. And again, the only way you know that is if you made, again, do you remember what I said the 2 triggers were for making Lings to scout? From earlier?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you see one of those 2 triggers happen, fucking make a Zergling and scout the map, like we talked about, and then periodically poke his natural if he doesn't have one. And that will automatically, like, because here's the thing. This is the, if you follow this mindset and you kind of adopt it and you do it, which I know you're going to, but once you get comfortable with it, it puts you in a state of mind that is, you know what he's doing and you're preparing for what's coming in the future, rather than you're reacting to what's happening in a crisis mode where you're like, oh shit, he's here and he's killing my stuff. I'm supply blocked. My 3rd just got canceled or killed, and I don't have enough to deal with this. I'm dead. So yeah, like you just got to know the triggers. And for Protoss, those 2 I said they're huge. Those are big ones. That reveals many of their builds.
Yes. I see your point. Yeah. That's your point. Totally. I need to learn how to be more flexible and based on the information that I get to be more confident on the decision making,
Yeah,
basically.
because if you
Because
if you were a two base and you know this, if you confirm this guy's one basing you, even before he moves out, if I were you, I would be thinking every second that goes by, I'm gonna win this game more likely because you are falling further and further behind. It would feel good.
yeah, yes, only if I can hold this push, right?
Yeah, exactly. But you should be able to. The later it comes, the more likely you're gonna hold it,
Yeah.
because you
I
are
have a
going to
better
just
economy.
exactly. You just produce twice as fast as he does.
Yeah. Also in the income tabs, if I see now, it's like I have 800 minerals more and almost 200 gas more
Exactly. Like you would have
incomes, and they're
double what he has if you would have just taken your fourth gas as well. If you would have
yeah.
if you would have confirmed he's one base on letting you and you just went all right 4 gases fuck it, and then yeah everything would be doubling his economy.
Yeah, and here I just moved because I really can't do anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And think about this. Like, look at your upgrades again. This is so many more roaches that could have been made, and ravagers. That's so much gas tied up in your in those buildings. And then also, did you actually lose the third base when he?
No, I cancelled it.
Okay.
I cancelled it on the last second, actually.
Yeah, you did. That's still 75 minerals and a drone, and then like you said, 2 overlords. There's just
Yeah,
lots
that was.
of cost death here.
Yeah, that 2 overloads, it's painful.
Yo, I can't because thank you for the
Also
sub.
because it made me so
And
much supply
Lomima,
block.
thank you
Like,
for another
it's
gifted sub from earlier.
insane.
For sure, and it's very unfortunate, but very easily fixable if you do the zergling thing. This guy's an a-hole. He's a dick.
Yeah, and then he kept insulting me later in the when I left the game. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, here's another thing for you. Okay, imagine this. I actually think you might have been able to still win this game. By the way, imagine if you would have known he is one base elening you. Okay, you know that this guy's one base elening you, and he's right here. You see his whole army. This army is not that big. If you would have double clicked a drone on your mineral line, and let's just say you mineral walk to your third base that just got canceled, and then you wait for your drones to initiate on these units. He does have 4 force fields, so that's the thing. Also, I keep in mind too, one thing we talked about. This is something that's gonna. So one thing that could counter you right now is if he force fielded your drones into his army and then force fielded your roaches away from him. But the reason why that could happen is because you walled against Protoss, and you never want to wall against Protoss for that exact reason.
I forgot this. Oh, yes.
Yeah, you don't want to, because what happens is you allow Protoss to have artificial choke points to abuse you. But think about this too: if he has a couple sentries and he throws a couple force fields down, you also have a couple. You should have a couple Ravagers, and you could break his force fields too. So. Like, you could have many counters to this, but if you would have just had like the Queens, the Ravagers, the Roaches, your Roach Warren and Evo Chamber are not in the way. You have your drones at your natural. All of them just pull off and go attack his army. Your drones tank the majority of the damage, and I guarantee you're going to lose all your drones at your natural. But what's going to happen is you're going to kill his entire army, and it's all going to be dead. Your drones are going to be dead. His army is going to be dead, but you're still going to have an army. The majority of your army will still be alive because there's not enough DPS here to overpower Roach, Ravager, Queen, and Drone. This army is actually really small. And if his Immortals are busy just shooting drones all day, Roaches actually do pretty good DPS as well, back to Protoss. Even though they're very squishy against Immortals, this guy's not going to be target firing your Immortals. He's going to be probably A-moving and maybe at the most stutter stepping backwards against your drones. But again, even if you lose your drones at your natural, you're still ahead, and the reason why is because your drone count would equal his probe count after that. You guys would kind of like tie up. But the difference is you already have a natural, which means you can instantly replace drones on it. He doesn't even have a nexus at his natural, so he can't saturate it. He would have to start from building a new nexus to be considered even with you. So you can recover way faster than he can because you already have an established base. And then on top of that, you could just counterattack him and kill him anyways. So he would never be able to expand.
Yeah, that's actually a quite smart thing, yes. Absolutely. Yeah, but all these things comes because I need, as you told me, I need to basically I need to assess the situation and
Yep,
decide whether I will still be ahead and whether I'm ahead economically, which obviously I am now.
exactly.
All this kind of decision making.
Yeah,
This is something that I miss a lot.
yeah. And
In
this, I'm telling you right now, what you're learning right now is the hardest thing to learn in StarCraft. This is the moment. Like we're doing, this is like a Diamond plus, Diamond to Masters coaching lesson we're doing right now, honestly, because we're theory crafting on how to analyze a game. And the hardest thing for people to comprehend is how to know if you're actually ahead or behind in a game based off of what you see. A lot of people have no idea. They're like, oh,
yeah,
he's attacking. Does that mean he's ahead? Because he's on the map and I'm not. Like people just don't know how to read games. But
yeah,
no, just like the biggest thing to remember on how to read a game properly is knowing that no race, except for Terran, I guess, because of mules, but races in general, SCVs, drones, and probes, they all mine at the same speed. Everybody mines at the same
yeah,
speed. So
yeah,
having, like, especially Protoss is easier to read at first about these kinds of situations. Having the knowledge that you go, okay, well, my natural was thrown down at with drones on it. We're talking like my natural got saturated at like 2 minutes, maybe like 2:15, and I've been mining since then. And this Protoss player at 5 minutes or at 3:50 or 4:15 or whatever, he still doesn't have one. So you can just commit to memory. You've had a natural for 1 more minute than him, 2 more minutes than him, 3 more minutes than him, and that should reinforce that your feelings of going, I know I'm ahead, I know I'm ahead, I know I'm ahead. And then the only thing that really comes to play there is just don't get surprised by something and die like DTs, which is what we talked about with like the Overseer thing. That's like the only way you could lose realistically at that point. And then all these decisions, like for like the couple ways that I recommended how you defend this, like pulling your drones or whatever, those would become valid if you knew you were ahead, because you should know you should be able to bounce back after the fight's over way faster than he can, because this dude's fucking just one base soloning you. He's going ham.
yeah. It's going.
He's talking shit, going ham.
Yeah, and he kept going.
But yeah, this is a good example. I think this game, I think it summarizes a lot of problems actually a lot of people have, but a couple changes like we talked about will fix so many problems for you. It'll definitely take time to get used to though, but it's something you should definitely start doing if you want to be able to read games better. Yeah, this guy's special.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, yeah, easily fixable I think for you in the future.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much. I
ZvP,
think
thank you for the 46 months.
I will try
Love
to
you.
implement a little bit more this Ling scouting kind of map awareness thing,
Yeah,
because this is definitely would improve a lot if I see them coming out.
yeah, and
This is like,
and your lings don't even need speed for this either. You just need them like poking and being in an area.
because now that I remember about it, I lost also a couple of games because they had eaten bases in the corner.
Yeah.
And I was like, the fuck, like I kept killing his army, and then I maxed all the time and it's still coming at me, and I was like, and then I watched the replay, yeah, eaten bases. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you do the thing we talked about with the lings kind of like shift and moving around the map, I would suggest, just to make it easy and fast, do it off the mini map. Don't actually drag your screen around and do it. It'll take way longer.
Yeah, this will take me ages.
Yeah. So if you just do it off the mini map, each ling should take you all of about maybe 2 seconds. Because if you just go click, 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 that's like 2 seconds. And then click, 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 2 seconds. Maybe 3 seconds. Like it could take you, it's okay if it takes you a little bit longer. If you're like really trying to be accurate about it. The more you do it though, the faster you'll get. It's only natural to be like that. So it eventually will take you like 2 seconds to get there. Like it'll get you to a point where it takes like 2 seconds. But and then you're going to win so many games though, being like, oh wow, I just found some shit that I didn't know existed. Okay, this makes this way easier. Now I kind of have a better read on what's going on. Did you have another game, or do you want to talk more about this one?
Yeah, I could have other games, but I struggled a lot to be facing Protoss in the last days
Sure.
for some reason.
Yeah.
I can try.
We can I could totally talk more about that. But the big underlying like main points of understanding how to read what's going on. I do feel like we covered them for the most part in that one because that one was more or less simple, I guess, in the sense that it was one base. He did one attack, which was an all-in, and then the game ended. So discovering that is like the biggest problem for you was you just didn't know he was one base all-inning you because
Yeah, yeah,
there was a chance that was just going to be a harassment, or you didn't even know he was going to attack. You didn't see him attacking until he killed your third and stuff like that.
yeah. And also, I realized I lost a couple of games when they went for two base only.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I don't remember like the replay. I'm sorry. I struggle to find any
Okay.
CVP. I have a Terran
I'd say maybe I have one,
two base.
and I can just kind of talk to you about mine, and I'll give you an example. I'm gonna really quickly just speed this as fast as I can, just to
Hmm.
see if it's like not crappy, because I don't remember playing this game, because I haven't played Europe in a long time. But
Also, like I realized also two base all-ins they tend to kill me all the time as well.
sure,
Because I'm joining my third and then I realize I don't have enough army.
yeah,
Even if I'm spending all the larva and I'm not supply blocked, I just don't have any larva anymore to create an army that can defend the push.
sure.
Um, Usually.
Okay, we'll use this one. Fuck it. We'll go through it on like ×2. I'll invite you to my party this time, and then after this, we'll save it a little bit to do the the build, the build example. All right. But two base all-ins are really dictated. I would say the best way you can discover if they're two base all-inning you is literally watching the clock. There gets to be a certain point in time where if your opponent does not take a third, and I know this doesn't apply as much to lower leagues, but it does have merit no matter what league you are, because there is always a certain amount of money you're going to generate. If your opponent does not take a third by right around 5 minutes, the only way they can ever spend their money on two base saturation is if they have like 8 production facilities or like 7 production facilities. They are not going to spend their money fully if they only have like 3 production facilities. So that means that the longer they don't take a third after 5 minutes, the more
Yeah,
likely they're amassing an army to all in you.
yeah. And so if they don't, I'm still fine because they're just accumulating resources,
Exactly. Yep. So that's exactly what you should think when you should read a game. You should know
right?
that if your opponent is doing something that looks all in, but they're not committing to it, you are getting further ahead if your build is solid.
Yeah.
That's honestly how I read like when I do beta GM, that is how I read about 99% of my games. I go, this guy's build is not efficient, and we're just getting ahead because we're not playing at 500 APM, but we are just doing an efficient build, and that gets you ahead in so many ways every time. All right, so this time, the pro was already at my natural. It was patrolling around. He was being annoying. I took my third, and if this ever happens too, just follow your hatchery. And so, like, this is like the one example where I would say follow your hatchery rather than follow the probe. And that's the reason why is because if he cannon rushes my natural, it doesn't matter now because I don't have a hatchery that I'm gonna lose there. And I'm gonna figure that out soon enough, anyways, because I am going to send another drone there eventually, anyways, just to poke and try to take an expansion. This is my gasless build essentially. If you don't want to take a third and you're going for a gas opener, you could still send one drone down to your natural just to poke in and check. But the last thing you ever want to do though is leave your hatchery unscouted, because then the worst thing that can happen to Zerg is, oh, my hatchery just finished and 2 cannons just warped in and now it's dead. Like, that sucks pretty bad. It's a big waste of your time and money.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and
So you basically took your natural at the third place,
yep,
and then you made sure that the probe was gonna leave and took the third basically.
yeah, yeah.
While you kept droning and
Yeah, I never stopped droning the entire time.
yeah,
The only time I would ever cease drone is if I was, starting a hatchery and I had to stop droning for just a sec, or if I was starting a queen or something like that. Like you can see right now, I'm not droning, but it's because I just made my queens and I have overlords about to pop.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm not even doing it perfect myself. I actually like 4 seconds there of wasted time. But we just got into his base. We see a natural. We saw the first pylon. We see its gate core nexus. That's the most standard thing you're ever going to see. And then we scouted up to his main because most people put the second pylon near either one of their nexuses. The reason why is because most Prodosses don't like to waste too much mining time. And the further away you build your pylons, the more mining time you're wasting. And mining time is always... It's more impactful in the game the earlier the timer is in the game. So if you have 16...
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah, perfect. You understand.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in this case, you went for a Stargate, basically.
And Stargate, the best thing you can do against Stargate is you can actually see a silhouette in the Stargate.
It's a Phoenix,
perfect.
Right?
Yep. And now that I know it's a Phoenix, the reason why this is important is because my Overlord is going to die either way. You should always assume if this guy opens Stargate, your Overlord's dead. There's no way you're getting it out. If you had 2 Overlords here right now, I would say this is the time when you could actually take your second Overlord that I told you to put on the other side of his main. You could actually stop it wherever it is and go, nope, go home. Just turn around, go home. It's fine. I don't need to know any more information. I know he's going Stargate. We're good.
So I remember maybe you mentioned to the Bronze the GM when they go for Stargate, you want your overlords closer to your bases, right?
Yes, you do. Because
you don't want to lose them in the map.
Exactly. You don't want to just waste Overlords for no reason. And all I want to know right now is I want to know what he's going to build out of the Stargate. And not only is it important to see what comes out of the Stargate first, it's also important to see what comes out of the Stargate second because it tells you a lot about how they're going to open. And also, the reason why this is really important is because it tells you when you need to make spores. Because you can see right now, if you look at my larva, I have 2 larvae sitting there right now, and I have my queen started. I could spin my larva. I have injects popping off here somewhat soon. My point is if I were to go, he went Stargate, and I just start 3 spores right now, 1 per base, it's going to delay my larva a bit when these injects pop off because it's going to be expensive. I'm going to lose 3 drones, and I'm also going to have to spend an extra 225 minerals to do this. It's going to make me delay some of my larvae in the future. But if I go, he's not opening Oracle, which is the only time you would ever want to rush spores if you see an Oracle is being built. I'm like, he's making a Phoenix. Now I can be like, okay, we're going to delay spores now until I see what comes out of the Stargate next. And if the second unit in that Stargate was another Phoenix, I would delay spores even longer. And then I might even do something more greedy, like take a 4th base. Because it's opportunity costs. There's 1 Phoenix is not going to do shit to you. 2 Phoenix are not going to do shit to you. 1 Oracle could do a lot of damage to a mineral line if it's undefended. 2 Oracles, same thing. So if you see an Oracle being built, you want to start spores immediately as soon as you see the Oracle being built. Because if he chronos it and he just goes across the map immediately to your base and you delay your spores, there's a chance he'll show up when your spore is like 75% of the way done. And you're going to lose like 5 drones and then suddenly the spore then finishes. So if my Overlord's going to die at this point, right? It's going to die to the Phoenix. My point is if my Overlord dies and I see nothing but Phoenix, I will probably take spores about 20 to 30 seconds after my Overlord dies because I'm not worried about lots of drone damage. So it's allowing me to be really, really, really greedy. If I see Oracle, again, I make it really fast. If I see a Void Ray, which is the only other option at this point in the game because you have to have a Fleet Beacon for the other options, a Void Ray is kind of like a Phoenix. You can delay your spores a little bit longer because a Void Ray is slow. This might actually change in the patch, by the way. You know what? Fuck it. We're gonna say fuck it. If you see a Void Ray, because this is what it's gonna be like in the new patch. If you see a Void Ray, make spores right away because that shit's gonna be fast. Void Rays are gonna be so annoying in the next patch.
Speedy Void Rays.
Yeah. So yeah, Phoenix, you can delay spores. Everything else, make a spore. Just 1 is fine for to start. And then just drone. Literally, you'd be like, he's made a Stargate. We're droning.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but according to what people say and the videos I looked up, when they go Skytos, you can be more greedy than usual.
Yep,
actually, because they're not gonna push you right away.
Exactly. Skytos cannot punish you really fast. Skytos can harass you, but they cannot punish your bases. So if you just make a spore, you're good.
I remember one game that you showed in the Bronze TGM. I think it was in Diamond, where you showed up with a couple of Phoenixes. And you were mentioning these group of Phoenix will not kill me. It will just, harass me, so I can, eventually go more greedy than that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
It's perfect because if Phoenix have a certain amount of uptime. It's not cheap to pick up a drone. It takes a Phoenix about like I can't remember exactly. Ever since they changed the Blizzard seconds, I can't remember how much energy you regenerate a second. But we'll just say, for the sake of an example, we'll say it's 50. Okay, I think it's actually faster than that by a little bit. Maybe like we'll say 40. I'll say 40. That sounds more accurate. Like if a Phoenix can pick up one drone every 40 seconds, that is not that much drone damage that you can take. Like if you can,
No, because I can rebuild more.
exactly,
In that time, I
perfect.
can rebuild
Yeah,
more.
you can just
Yeah.
build more than the ones that will die, and you will always end up ahead if they're investing into Phoenix. So you create
Exactly.
leads for yourself.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm really glad you understand these concepts because sometimes it's really hard to get them across for someone to fully comprehend them
Yeah,
and
I've been
appreciate them.
trying because I've been watching. I basically watch all your GM master, like bronze to GM, and I'm trying to catch these concepts. For me, the theory is not the problem. For me, is the application under stressful situations. This
Yeah,
is mostly like the problem.
yeah,
And I guess it's gonna take practice. That's all it takes, I think.
for sure. And then right now in this game, I would say I saw.
I see you now. You take all the gases, basically. Also, the gases are your third.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I took my gases at my natural. About like
And the natural, yeah.
yeah, I took
Yeah.
my gases at my natural like at like 4 minutes, maybe like 350, and then I took the gases at my third now, and the reason why is because gases around like 350, 340, 350. That's ideally what you want to be going for against a Stargate opener because one thing that pairs really well with Stargate openers is adept timings. There's a lot of times Protosses will just keep making adepts out of their 1 or 2 gates that they wall with, and you can see that this guy walled with 2 gates. This is very standard. And a lot of Protosses will be like making adepts out of these 2 gates up until they have about 6 or 7. And suddenly they'll just be like, okay, well, I harassed you with 2 oracles and a phoenix or 3 oracles and a phoenix, whatever. And now I'm just gonna run over to your base with like 5 adepts or 7 adepts and see if I can kill more drones. So if we take gas at like 350, it allows you to have roaches in time to deny that and not really have to worry too much about that. It also allows you to have a well-timed layer, which is also important. So you can have like roach speed or go into hydras or whatever you want to do. And then, yeah, I don't take my other gases until I'm fully saturated on all 3 mineral lines. That way I'm not mitigating my income.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, actually, sorry. I took it a little bit earlier this game. What I said is actually not true. This game, I will say this. Not the best play from me. This is not the most logical. And the reason why is because if I had a Zergling scouting right now at a probe taking a third at his third, I should not take these gases at my third yet. I should actually saturate my natural first and then take these gases. There's no need for me to prioritize gas so hard against someone who's going to go 3 base off of low production.
So you basically had a Zergling sitting on his third before, or I missed that.
I don't think I did. I don't know. I think I might eventually. Yeah.
Whatever. It's
But yeah, it should be like right now, right around like 4 minutes. You should send Zerglings out. That is always what you should do, and you should be sending them out. I don't know if you can see my pings, but I should have a Zergling there, and a Zergling there. Those 2 bases should have 1 ling each at them because I should know as soon as he attempts to take them. It's a big deal.
Yeah. So basically, on the two potential thirds.
Yeah.
Basically.
And like I said before, 5 minutes is standard, super standard third. Like 4:45 to 5 minutes is very standard, and he took it at 4:45. His build's efficient. This build is looking like it's like a this is probably the best way to explain this. If someone takes a third between the 4:45 to 5 minutes, their production facilities are probably 4 or less, depending on what they're doing exactly. Sometimes they throw in upgrade buildings as well, but 4 production facilities is usually what they got. And if we look at this guy's base, he's got 2 gates, a robo that's almost done, and a Stargate. It's exactly 4. If the third is taken, let's say like way faster. Let's say this guy threw his third down at 4 minutes or like 3:30 or some shit. there's a very high chance there's only 2 production facilities, maybe 3, but probably 2. That would be like 1 gateway, 1 Stargate. What's up?
So it means that he's going extra greedy.
Yes. It means that if you had like speedlings, you could easily deny that. Like, he has no way to defend that realistically. He can harass you and he can be annoying to you and maybe keep you defensive. If you go gasless, you cannot deny it at all because you don't have speedlings going gasless. So that is one way you could, that's one thing Protoss can do against gasless players if they know they're playing against a gasless style. But my point is if it's like a really early third, like 3:30 to 4 minutes, that's so fucking greedy, and there's a very good chance you could easily kill it if you have something on the map. Just really greedy. And anything after 5 minutes, the reason why this is really important is because right around 5 minutes is when a Protoss also hits full saturation. So that means they're at max peak income for 2 bases. Every single moment that goes by after 5 minutes, add on 10 seconds, you can assume production facilities goes up by 2 every 10 seconds, up to 8. So what that means is if 5 minutes means 4 production facilities, 5:10 is now 6 production facilities, 5:20 is now 8 production facilities. Most Protosses do not go above 8 on 2 bases because it's just too expensive to upkeep that. Like, you'll never be able to spend all that money. Like, you don't have enough money to upkeep that. So 8's kind of usually where people stop. But every second that goes by after 5:20, you can just assume that they're utilizing 8 production facilities and they're amassing an army to kill you with.
Very good, because that's exactly where I usually die.
Yeah.
When they push me.
Yeah. So if you were to see if you were, like, okay, this guy he's not taking a third, and I have let's say I'm a Zerg player and I have 58 drones or 57 drones. I'm almost fully saturated on 3 bases. I got 4 gases, I got 2 mineral lines with 16 on it, and I got 1 mineral line with 13 on it. So I could make a few more drones, but this guy is we're at 5:20. He's not taking a third, and I make an overseer go into his base, and I'm like, okay, this guy has like 7 gateways and a robo, and he's making immortals and mass gateway units with it. Don't make any more drones. You already have an advantage. You're mining it, like, you have like 57 drones versus someone who has 44 probes max. So you have the lead. You're generating more than he is, and if you just make an army there yourself as well, and you're like, okay, keep making army, keep making army, keep making army. Best case scenario, he then pushes into your creep, and you get a nice defensive engagement, and you crush his army and win. Worst case scenario, but still good for you if you read it like this, he doesn't ever want to attack you, but instead he lets you have an advantage for, let's say, 3 minutes, and then goes, you know what, I'm going to take a third now. You attack his third. You don't attack his natural. You don't try to break his wall down. You wait for him to expose himself at a new base that's fresh by having a scout there, like a Zergling or something again, or a Changeling or whatever. And then as soon as he exposes himself, then you go pounce on him and don't let him expand. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because there it's the moment where you want to actually now trade armies.
Yeah.
Because you have the economical advantage, so you say, okay, fine, I have economical advantage. Now let's start to trade.
Yeah.
Because the more the game goes on, and the better it will be.
Yeah. The only time I would ever tell you should, if he doesn't take a third and he's just massing on 2 bases, the only time I would ever tell you, okay, you should probably go attack his natural now, is if you maxed out and he still was sitting there and you knew there was no other bases on the map. Then I would be like, it's okay. You can now have Ravagers go bust down his wall. Be patient. Don't just charge into a doorway. Like, bust down all of his buildings. Create a nice open area for yourself, and then just like push him with Corrosive Biles and whatever. And then you can transition into something like Broodlords even. Be like, okay, well, while I'm maxed out, I can now start spending my resources to go into Hive and a Greater Spire. And if I lose like 40 supply of Roaches, I could just try to remax into some Broods and then just try to trade with...
Yeah, in Corruptors and then morph them into Broods.
Yeah, exactly. And you could just play it. You could play patiently because you know that the longer the game goes, you're getting ahead. You could even take a 4th base. And as long as you can just shove him into his corner and in his 2-base corner repeatedly, he's going to run out of money really fast. Because a big thing to consider, this is something to keep in mind. If you can keep mental tabs on when somebody expands, if they don't deviate from saturating properly, so if they're constantly making workers for that base, as soon as they take a base, you can put a clock in your mind that goes, okay, well, in about 10 minutes, half of his patches are going to start disappearing, which means his economy is going to get cut in half at these bases. Like it's just going to start. It's going to become a lot. Like he's going to become a lot less powerful if he hasn't been able to expand again. So if you know that this guy took a natural really early in the game, and then he never takes a third, and then you go, okay, well, he's on 2 bases still because I've shoved him back into his corner, and we're at 12 minutes in the game now, and I've lost some army trying to trade with him a little bit, and I'm transitioning into bigger and better armies. This guy doesn't really have the economy to be able to do that very well because he's running out of money. Like he's
Yes, absolutely.
yeah, and then
because if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. Already in the main, after 8 minutes, you start to have like half of your saturation.
yeah,
Basically.
and the reason why it happens faster in the main is because you start with 12.
Exactly, you start with 12, and then 11 in the natural, roughly, like probably, and then the natural will start eventually.
Yeah,
also too. So
like we're talking like if your opponent is the kind of player that is all in, all in, all in, and we're talking like a 15-minute game. If you can defend and expand periodically yourself, and just don't freak out, or just if you can control the game for 15 minutes, this dude is broke, and then you've pretty much won the game. Then, like it's the best way to deal with somebody who is doing 2 base all-ins as well with the current style you're playing is honestly also probably Roach Ravager, unless it's air. If it's air, then obviously I would say probably make Hydras with your current playstyle. But if it's like anything on the ground, Roach Ravager 2 base all-ins is great to deal with them, because and the perfect way to micro them. That's actually here. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna leave this game because we kind of got through the beginning of it anyways, and I want to show you something.
yes, can I ask you something? Now that
Sure.
we're talking about variegating a little bit the army composition, I would like to introduce some more mechanics in my gameplay, and meaning, for example, using a slightly more elaborate control organization of the army.
Have you?
And so far, I've been using only like one control group, so I have one group army syndrome for the moment.
Really quick before or just trying to be really fast. The video I just linked in my Twitch chat. Click it really quick and tell me if you've ever watched that. Because if you haven't watched that, you did?
Wait a second.
Okay,
I'll just watch it.
It's a long video, but that will definitely answer a lot of your questions. I go very thorough about how I control group my stuff.
Yeah, I watched it, but it's a bit too complicated. Like, yes, I watched it.
Okay.
But I don't know as how far can I go with my level of micro and so. Yeah, I can watch it as well. I mean, I watched it once. Yeah.
I would say it would help you organize your stuff, but when it comes to like controlling everything properly and doing everything, like making it flow really well, that's something that will happen in time more as you get more comfortable with everything. Like it just will. You can always ask me questions about whatever situations that are going on that are confusing you or something like that. But I would say for now, I would say once you get to Diamond, off of now your scouting potential and your macro potential, that would probably for you be the proper time to start worrying about more elaborate micro situations and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think like now I have enough things to implement in the gameplay, not to get overwhelmed. So
Sure.
I think I still have a lot of things to implement before getting to that.
All right. Now, really quick, are you if you don't have to turn my sound on, but turn my stream on if you're not watching it, and I want to show you something really fast about how to.
I'm watching. Yeah,
okay.
I'm watching.
So everyone knows that there is a delay of a shot of a Ravager, and one of the best ways you can abuse this is you don't want to ever throw all your Ravager shots out right away like that. You don't want to just be like, all right, now all of my Ravagers are on cooldown, and that's it. What you want to do, if you're in a situation where, like, this is kind of referring to like when I was saying, if you're 200 supply and you want to break someone's wall down and shove them into the corner, you don't want to throw away your entire army within 2 seconds, like this. You don't want to necessarily do this right here, where you're like, all right, let's take a big fight, and then suddenly the Protoss is like, he just like pushes forward into you and force fields you and just beats the shit out of your army. You know what I mean? Like, you don't really want to do this necessarily. This is not going to be the best way to fight this. You're probably going to lose the fight almost every time if you do some things like that. Instead, what you want to do is you would want to do something like stagger Biles in front of his army, which will push him backwards. And when he pushes backwards, you stagger Biles on other targets that cannot get out of the way, like a building. For instance, and if he doesn't back up and he walks into it, you just get free damage. Kind of like this right here. It would look something similar to like this. Like he just keeps walking into Biles repeatedly, and all this does is it gives you free damage all over his units. And I guarantee you, everyone that you will play against in Platinum League will get fucking destroyed by that. All you have to do that is, this requires a little bit of micro with your mouse. All you have to do that is this right here. You move your army to a safe distance. You do not ever move into his army like just straight on, full on, like I'm running right into you. You just run nearby him. So starting here would be perfect. Having my army in like a stop command right now would be great, because I can start casting Biles near him. But what you want to do is you want to move your mouse like this. You want to move backwards, and then you move your mouse back to the front of your army, and then you want to throw out a corrosive bile, and then you want to move your mouse back and move again. So you alternate 1 1 1 1 1 1, like bile, move, 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 bile, move. And the reason why you have to do move command every time is because if you just bile, this is what will happen to your Ravagers. Like they'll just stop and they'll stay there. So you have to move command, because when you tell a Ravager to bile, it's going to tell the unit bile, and now I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to sit here. But if you bile move, and again, it doesn't have to be like this looks really complicated because I have to do it in this little confined circle. But you can do it if someone else is microing the Protoss. A lot of times what's going to happen is you're going to bile them. They're going to either walk forward or they're going to back up. They're going to try to probably protect their natural in this kind of a situation. And you can just walk forward, bile in front of them at first. You like throw 1 or 2 biles in front of them. What this does is it allows you to have free damage if they run into you. So it's like a premeditated, like if you want to try to fight me, you're just going to walk into damage. But if they go, oh, okay, you're biling me, I'm going to not run into that. You have 2 biles that guard you at first, because bile has longer range than every unit that can auto attack here. So then it creates like a zone, for like a buffer for you to walk forward. And then you bile the edge of his army. And if he continues to back up,
then you go for building.
Exactly. And if he goes, okay, no, I'm going to walk into you, then you do what I showed you, which is bile, move, bile, move, bile, move, bile, move. And you don't actually try to auto attack him. You only really want to go for an auto attack with him once you have made him eat so many fucking biles, because you're going to take way superior trades. It is much harder for a Protoss to avoid taking damage from bile when they're walking into them. Like when they have like so much shit walking into them, it's harder to micro a big blob than it is to micro 10 units out of a bile. So your chances of getting biles to connect to go up a lot the more units there are on the map, is what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's a great way to use. That's also a great way to use biles when someone is all-inning you on creep. You can like kite on the edge of your creep all the way back to your base, just like that. And as soon as you have to make a stand at your base, because now he's going to like kill your hatchery or something, then you can make a stand there, and you'll have softened his army up a lot by the time you got there.
Yeah, yeah. And it buys you time also to spawn new units as well.
Yeah. All right. Really quickly now, we can go into this final thing of, I'm going to make a lobby. I invited you to the party again. I'll make a lobby and
I quit.
What's up?
Yeah, so let me just quit the replay. Accept.
Okay.
Yeah, now I'm there. Yeah.
And then I'll make example build.
Nice, very good. Because eventually, when I'm Platinum 1, I will start to try your gasless build as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Sounds good, man.
And for this one, I'll do I'll just do the most standard version of it altogether. I would say do this one no matter what, unless they go Stargate. And if they go Stargate, just take gases at 340. for your first 2 gases, okay? And remember that number. I would say write that down. 340,
Yeah.
2 gases for Stargate. Everything else, do this. What I'm doing now. Because what this build does, this build is, it's well-rounded against Twilight Council openers, Robo openers, Mass Gateway openers, all these kinds of things. And then if someone cannon rushes you, and you're doing this kind of a build, do not ever pull your drones. It's going to fuck you really bad if you do that. Instead, what I would recommend you do is, I would say, just take both your gases before your pool's done and make Ravagers and just kill the cannons out of range.
Yeah, just buy the cannons.
Yeah, because if you pull if you pull drones with this, there's like you could, but I wouldn't recommend it, because if you don't have a gas follow up and you pull drones and it doesn't go amazingly for you, you are so far behind then in the game because you have no tech to fall back on. You don't have speedlings to fall back on. You have nothing. So you're stuck on defense and you're behind on defense, which is the worst position ever to be in.
Yeah, yeah. So you go 18 pool, right?
Yeah. I did the hatchery at 17. Do it at 16.
Yeah. For Protoss, yeah.
Yeah. 16 hatch, 18 pool is perfect. And then take your drone and send it out to your third at roughly 19 to 20 drones. Keep making drones while you do this, and it will put your drone at your third roughly around 300 minerals. To take your third at. And just keep making drones. Don't worry about supply blocking your queen. It's not a big deal because your natural's going to finish and you're going to make 2 queens off of that. Because they're going to finish roughly around the same time. And then this allows you to maximize your larva. Now you start a queen. You can scout his natural and stuff with your overlord. Second overlord, now that my natural's done, can move up and scout the side of his main. Start an overlord as well at 26. Keep making drones. Now we're supply blocked, but it's okay because all our larva is spent. And we'll make another overlord because we're about to make another 2 queens, so we're going to supply block again really fast. And then 1 base or 2 base, doesn't matter. We should always take gas at 3 minutes with this build unless we know it's a Stargate. And then with this build too, I would say make a creep tumor with your natural queen first, always, and make a inject with your main queen. And then what you want to do then is you will take your natural queen and send it to your third, so it's ready to inject it as soon as it's done. And then your main queen now becomes a creep spreader the entire time, which will chill on the edge of your main. And it will make a creep tumor in my main first to cover my main base and creep, and then it will rotate down to like my third base.
I see.
And then I took my gas a couple seconds too late. My bad.
So basically, like with the main queen, you do an inject and then you creep tumor.
Yep.
I see.
I'm gonna say this because I did do it at 3:15. It was not intentional because we were talking and I just kind of missed it. But 3 minutes is double gas. That's when you should take it. And then all we're doing right now is we're trying not to supply block. We are making drones constantly with all of our larvae that keep injecting out of the hatcheries. And we're saturating the shit out of our bases. And we're going to saturate all 3 bases. And we have the lings like we talked about last time, where we can see if this guy were to push out, I would see this. And I can periodically also check the natural and be like, are you expanding? And there's no expansion. So now if there's no expansion, we have 2 saturated bases, which is nice. I am going to go to 4 gases because 4 gases is going to be great for this. Because if someone's one basing you, there's a good chance they are going to attack you. I kind of wish this was a real person. I feel like this example's becoming the best because most of the time you will play against 2 base players, not 1 base players. But yeah, I'm gonna keep kind of droning as if this is a 2 base player to a point.
If it's a 2 base player, you take the gases on your third when you have saturation, right?
Yeah.
On the third.
Like the gases this game when we took them are not bad. Like it's We had drones in production coming to the base as we took the gas.
All right.
So
All right.
we're pretty solid. And we can take our gases in our main now too. We're at full saturation. We have even more drones in production. We're looking pretty good here. Okay, and now that our natural's done, we're gonna get hydrogen. We're gonna get evo chamber. We're gonna get a 4th base and roach speed, and now we can just make mass roaches. And then you can just keep creep spreading. And we're gonna make roaches up until the point when we have about 16. And the reason why this is important is because right now, there's a lot of potential timings that could hit you all over the place from Protoss. And we also don't even have the potential of having upgraded Hydras yet. Hydras are amazing once you have their upgrades, but making 16 roaches first means that we give our Hydras a chance to, like, they're a little delayed, but the trade-off is by the time we start actually making them, they're gonna at least have one of their 2 upgrades done. We're talking about range and speed. And now I can start making Hydras, and this is gonna dump all of my resources. This build's very greedy, so you have like these massive surges of your bank that keep popping in, but then you dump it all because you have higher tech, more expensive units that just get dumped on as well. And now our Hydras are going to start spawning, and our Hydra upgrade is more than halfway done. It's like almost like 75% of the way done already. So now at 7 minutes, it should be finishing. And when we start upgrade number 2, which is the other, like, you know, now it's going to be speed. We're also going to start a infestation pit. We will replace the drone that we just spent to make that happen. And we can go into, start getting ready to go into like a hive. And at this point now, this should be that time when you're like, okay, well, we should have been attacked by now. We should know what he's doing, if he has a 3rd or not. If there's no 3rd, I'm going to say this. No 3rd, max out. If 3rd, drone 4th. So let's just assume he has a 3rd, okay? We're going to make drones for our 4th base. So now we're going we're going all the way up to about 90 drones right now. And the reason why is because we're going to spend a few of them to make things like, now we're going to make a spire. We're going to make a couple gases. We're going to make another hatchery at another base. And it'll be over here. Doesn't really matter because our main's going to start mining out. So we need another base to send more drones to as well. And then now once we have the good saturation going on, we can now once again go back into Hydras off of 86 drones now after I spend a few of them on buildings. And we are not only teching fast to Hive with good upgrade coverage, we're also maxing out right around like 8 minutes and 20 seconds. We maxed out at 8:19 this game.
Yeah, wow.
And then, yeah, that's also with mostly Hydras in my army. And these Hydras are fully upgraded too in terms of range and speed. So now would be the time when we could be like, all right, let's do a timing. And we could start transferring drones that are oversaturating to my 5th base off of any base that has problems with saturation. And we're going to have a very nice active upkeep. Our Greater Spire is being started, so this is perfect timing now to where if we start losing units, we can make Corruptors and Zerglings now. Because you can also see my spawning pool has melee metabolics boost and the adrenal glands upgrade going. So all my supply that I lose, all my gas can go Corruptor, and all my excess minerals can go into Zergling. And I can go to
Wow.
Broodlord Zergling now. And then we
This is also an amazing build, really.
yeah, no, I love this build.
I mean, if you can make it properly, of course.
Yeah.
Like in my case, I need to learn how to use it.
Yeah.
This is really an amazing build. Yeah.
And then
Super greedy, but it's very, very nice.
yeah. And then there you go, boom. And it's like a build. Also, I didn't even creep spread, I think, as well as we could have. Our creep spread was not bad. We had our whole base covered, but if you get better and better and better at creep, you can really like have your creep to the center of most maps by 10 minutes or beyond.
Wow.
Like you can actually have your creep pushing into their 3rd base by like 13 minutes or 12 and a half minutes. if you're really on top of it.
How do you improve your creep spread?
You just have to remember it. That's all it is. The creep spread has different timers to injects. A creep tumor and a larva inject have the same exact timer on a queen. It's 25 energy, but a creep tumor is about half the cooldown of a creep tumor is half the cooldown of a larva inject, though, even a little bit less than half. It's almost like it's almost a third, because a creep tumor cooldown is 11 seconds to do it again and again and again off active creep tumors, and a larva inject is 29 seconds. So you can make creep very often if you're upkeeping it in your mind, being like, okay, creep, 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 creep. You just have to remember it. The biggest thing I would say to remember it. So sorry to keep interrupting you, but I'll say this last thing. The biggest thing to remember about about creep is to always try to spread all your tumors at once. Put them on it's okay if you make a tumor and it's not perfectly in line with your other tumors. You can skip one round on that tumor, but then add it into the next one. If you're, instead of just sitting there waiting for it or trying to remember to do every tumor like every 3 seconds and bounce between all of them like a bunch of checkers or something. Just do all of them at the same time, but you can do all of them at like every 11 seconds as fast as you can. And that's about it.
Yeah.
Any other questionolas?
No, for the moment I'm fine.
Okay.
For the moment I'm fine.
Well, dude.
Okay.
It was a good.
Dude, thank you very much again for another amazing coaching session.
Yo, thank you for doing another one, and I hope this scouting stuff and mechanical stuff helps you a lot, dude. And let me know how it's going for you.
Yeah, it's gonna take me a while now to implement all the scouting because I have to introduce a whole new thing.
Yeah.
But we'll let you know. Usually, like when you do like the scouting, like kind of like mental thing that you process in a game, like how often you think about scouting? Like every 30 seconds, every minute, you think about, I maybe should see what's going on. Like
I think about
what is the best.
I think about scouting whenever I feel like I don't know what's going on, but I've gotten to a point where I can read people's builds off of tendencies or certain things, certain ways they build things, and orders of how they build things, and timings of when they build things, that I can tell what their plan is by seeing that. Which is
for you obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a GM.
It just like what you should focus on right now to learn it is you should just focus on just trying to hit timings of scouting certain things. Like for instance, the most obvious one is Overlord immediately in the start of the game goes to his natural and sees does he or does he not have one. Things like that are the basics that you should start on. And now like a little bit more, like one step beyond that is that you know already, which I really like, is okay, do you have 2 pylons in your base? That's a huge one. And then that tells you so much information if they do have 2 pylons or if they don't have 2 pylons. And if they don't, you can be like, where's your proxy? Or are you just supply blocked? Yeah. And
then the other things are more about aggression or greediness, like if you took a third or not. And
yeah. I would say
bases.
I would say the next thing you should start focusing on after you get comfortable with pylon placement and scouting and seeing all that stuff is you should then start really paying attention to chrono boost energy, because Protoss will have, by the time your Overlord gets there, 100 energy on their main nexus if they don't chrono boost anything. And that is what that equals is 2 chrono boosts worth of energy. So if a Protoss is stalking and stalking and stalking chrono boosts, the chances of a timing hitting you are higher because they're going to probably chrono boost something tech related out, like an Oracle or something like that. But if you scout a Protoss who is constantly spinning chrono boost, especially if it's on their nexus, it reinforces that there's going to be more chances of a macro game. Things like that are big.
Yeah. Because he's using this chrono boost to make new probes, so
yeah. He's reinforcing that he's going to be stronger later, but not strong right now, because he's not really prioritizing military right away.
Yeah. Okay. Bye. Thank you very much. I don't want to make you go too much over time.
It's all good, man. Thank you for doing a coaching lesson, and it was good. I enjoyed it, man.
I enjoyed it too. Thank you.
All right. I'll see you next time, and have a good day, dude.
You too. Ciao.
See you. All right, guys. That is the end of another coaching lesson with Pombe Boss. Pombe Boss, thank you for doing another one. And guys, if you liked it, if you enjoyed it, I do have many, many, many more coaching lessons just like this all over my YouTube channel. There is a coaching section, a subsection in my YouTube channel. If you go to it, you can find it pretty easy. It's near the top. And yeah, or you can just literally type in ViBE space coaching in the YouTube search bar, and I'm sure you'll find a lot. But thank you for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Until then, take care of yourselves. Peace, everybody. Goodbye.